Part 49. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 482. Meet 42 beautiful women. At night, the small town of Xianxia in the curfew was quiet, and every family had fallen into dreams early. They were not worried about the upcoming evil siege, and they had almost superstitious trust in Xianxia's ancestors. Jing Quan's ancestors laid out such a grand formation. What else can I worry about? However, even if they are worried, there is no way. The war between the cultivators is not something they can plug in. There were also some people who escaped from the city before the battle, but that was a very small number. Everyone knew that the corpse Yinzong had come and killed people and trained them into zombies. Didn't they escape to death? Who knows if those evil repairs are just outside the city, and when they go out, they are delivered to the door as zombies, so stay in the city honestly. Alas, with a long playing voice, a group of white men came along the Moonstone Stone's bright bluestone slab road. The leader is a real person who builds a base, with 7 or 8 gas refining monks behind him. The white clothes they wear are even more eye-catching at night, and the marks on the sleeves show the identity of Xianxia disciples. As they walked across the road, they saw a dark shadow behind them, drifting like a dark cloud, silent, as if it were really a dark cloud moving with the wind. At the same time, in a quiet room on the second floor of the main building of the Yingban building, a young man meditating suddenly opened his eyes. He exhaled and sighed, still moving. This is Yekong. When he came back from the street with Wang Tingshi, he was meditating while watching the empty sword. He completely defeated the demon, and looking at that sword tactic, he already had a different perception. Although the focus of Xianxia is different from that of ordinary monks, they are actually monks, and they have something in common. Why not take some useful things from Xianxia to increase the power of your flying sword? Yekong was thinking. He felt a response from a gold-winged ant he had released, and then he sat up with his eyes open. Yekong raised his hand to remove the spirit stone from the array, and the array disappeared silently. He took out a note and wanted to send it, but thought again, I'm still not busy informing Xianxia. So he put the note into the storage bag, took out another spell, drew a trick, and posted it on his own brain. Then his figure shook like a phantom and disappeared. Outside the walls of Xianxia city, there were a few bursts of anti-magic battles. Zhang Mingqiang is thinking about good things. After 2 days of contact, he more and more likes the Sanxiao called Wang Tingshi, the white face, the bright smile, the white teeth, they are too beautiful. It seems that the female nun also has a little interest in herself. I don't know when I can hold a beautiful woman. Marry such a beautiful fellow, those guys have to envy death. Uncle Zhang, what do you want? Smiling, thinking of a woman, right, laughed the disciples who stayed together. Go. You are the same as your uncle, Zhang Mingqiang cursed and said, Primary 3, you go home and practice, I can do it here. Xiao San shook his head and said, how to do this? The rule is that the two of us should keep our eyes open. If the ancestor knew, I would be miserable. Zhang Mingqiang also said, it doesn't matter, your home is not far away. I can call you ahead of time if you have an inspection. Don't bother me here. The Xiaosan immediately understood, oh, there's an appointment for a beautiful woman, then she laughed, Uncle Zhang really has fun. The eyes outside the city, the light is bright, and there is a bustling sky in the sky. It is really romantic and beautiful to hold the beautiful woman here. It's easier to succeed. Zhang Mingqiang laughed and kicked Xiao Sanyi, you go quickly. Hey, send a message to my house. Xiaosan drove up the sword, flew over, and walked over the city wall. Xiao Sanyi left. Zhang Mingqiang smiled, took a clean square cloth from the storage bag and placed it on the ground, and put some spiritual fruit on it. This guy is going to have a flower viewing and moon picking with the beautiful woman, of course, such a place. If you push that nun down, it will be perfect. Zhang Mingqiang sat there thinking about beautiful things, but the primary three was not idle, he turned over the city wall. I wanted to go home, but went around in a circle, and returned to the wall, hiding under the shadow of the wall. Xiaosan swallowed his mouth, moved his hand, and placed an object on the edge of the outside of the city wall and then waited. As everyone knows, there is also a black shadow and black shoes in the shadow of the corner pavilion not far away, which is obviously more professional and hidden. The most powerful thing is that the upper body of the black shadow is covered by a thick layer of black mist, and the black mist rolls around its body, completely covering the black shadow's face. Haiying waited quietly for a moment, then it floated like a black cloud, and fell silently behind Xiaosan. The pitiful boy was so confused, he didn't feel anybody coming from behind, and still looked out of the city wall. When I saw the black shadow raising his hand, the black cloud wrapped around him immediately separated, and the black cloud left the black shadow, just like a fierce beast, fluttered on Xiaosan's back, and then quickly wrapped the whole body of Xiaosan's squatting body. Among them, Xiaosan felt it, but he was alarmed to find that his body was constantly calling, that the black cloud was as hard as steel, and the place where it was wrapped couldn't break free. He seemed to be enclosed in plaster. He wanted to shout, but Haiyun immediately went into his mouth like the tentacles, blocking his mouth, and at the same time he felt that the tentacles of the Haiyun kept drilling into his throat, into his stomach, his various organs. At the same time, his nose, eyes, and ears were all stuffed with black tentacles. Primary Three's death was terrifying. After a few breaths, when the black cloud flew back with great satisfaction, Xiaosan had become a thin corpse. He still keeps the appearance of squatting, but his face has become a layer of skin covering the skull, his two eyes have become two black holes, and his mouth is wide, which shows his fear before death. He had no scars on his body and no damage on his clothes. Who would have known how he died if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes? The black shadow killed Xiaosan, and tore off Xiaosan's storage bag, and then flew out again. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 483. Good luck to you. When the black shadow fell on the ground outside the city, the dark clouds around him suddenly spread, covering this small area, covering Zhang Mingqiang and his picnic food. The invisible Yekong hid on the wall. Just now Xiaosan took something out and placed it on the city wall. The black shadow killed Xiaosan and didn't take it away, probably he didn't notice it. Yekong took a look at the thing and found it to be a black ball like a glass ball, but he didn't know what it was. Yekong couldn't care much about it and put the round beads into the storage bag. Looking down at the city, I saw that the black cloud had been gathered around the black shadow body. Zhang Mingqiang had turned into a zombie, lying on the white cloth he had just laid. Why had Zhang Mingqiang ever thought that the white cloth he laid was his own? Where is the shroud? The black shadow killed Zhang Mingqiang and came to the front of the array, and saw that there was a medium quality spirit stone on the array, and after a few seconds, the spirit stone would flash once, like a beacon light on an airplane. Haiying didn't hesitate, took out a flying sword, and wanted to break the ice. But at this moment, a man's cold hum came from behind him. Wang Dai's magic weapon is really powerful, killing intangibles, and the foundation monk is also spared, and he sees it below. Hearing the sound behind him, the shadow suddenly paused. How could Yekong give her a respite? Raising her hand, she saw a huge yellow palm suddenly appear in the air. It is Yekong's magical power, Lushan's Claw. After this period of practice, Lushan's Claw is not so jerky at the beginning. I saw the giant hand quickly turned its claws into a palm, and behind the black shadow was a blow. Bang! Haiying was lying on the ground, splashing and taking off. Yekong's attack was considered a strength. He did not kill the black shadow, but just scattered his spiritual power and was seriously injured. Haiying spit out two bloods, twisted around, and a white and beautiful face appeared. It was the black woman Jiu Wang Tingxi. She looked at Yekong with a rush in her eyes. Not anger, but grudge. I thought we were friends, Wang Tingshi said with a smear of blood on his mouth. I don't have a friend like you, Yekong angered. You know how many innocent people would die if this large array was destroyed? Who did they recruit and who did they mess with? They just wanted a stable life. They didn't you grab the magic weapon. I didn't grab the elixir with you. I didn't kill the father with you. Since your corpse Yanzong is going to fight, then fight. What kind of heroes are you going to fight against the innocent? Wang Tingshi Moran shook her head. Of course, Siege will be dead, and those are just useless mortals. What about mortals? Yekong said more and more angry. Mortal is our soil. It is our roots. There are our parents and brothers inside. In this world, with mortals, there is life, civilization, and us. Only a monk can call it the world. A monk who treats mortals as ants must have no place to die. Yekong finished speaking and sighed. It seems that I didn't understand what you said at the tofu flower stall in the evening. These simple truths, but few people in this world understand. Flowers are still floating in the sky, but not romantic, but a bit bleak. Wang Tingshi lowered her head, coughed up a blood, and sighed. At that time, you knew that I was a corpse Yanzong. Yekong yelled, I knew when I saw you in Fangxi the first day. You did just come out to experience it, there is nothing to think about. I guess you look at your expression, the reason why he did not kill, it was Wang Ting. This person is very simple, not bad, and there is room for salvation. So Yekong said again, Wang Daiyu, you are not old and look beautiful. Why join the dead corpse? Is it that your girl is going to carry a coffin for a lifetime? It is so happy to face the body every day. Yekong's words were like thunderous thunders, and all of them banged on Wang Tingshi's heart. She said with a sorrowful smile, unhappy, I don't have little pets and dolls for little girls, and to this day, I don't have any friends. When I'm bored, I just have to hold the body and talk to the body, because I born in corpse Yanzong. Because I am the dark spirit root. Because I only have to make corpses to cultivate. Is it so important to be a cultivator? Yekong asked loudly. Isn't it? You think about it. If you don't want to cultivate, you're immortal, Wang Tingshi asked loudly. Once upon a time, in order to be able to cultivate immortals, he did not think about everything. Yekong sighed. Wang Tingshi also knew that he would not let himself go, and said calmly, kill me, I am the corpse Yin scorpion lady you hate. But thank you, at least we used to be an afternoon friend. Because you are my friend, I did not spread the news that you killed our ancestors with the door. You kill me. Yekong didn't kill her, but took off the spirit stone from the front of the array, letting the large array reveal a gap. Let's go, I'll spare you, not because you have pity, but because you still have innocence. If you don't change it, next time I see you, I will kill you. Also, go back and tell your ancestors, and tell your fellow men that I killed them. If you want revenge, let me go. If you can't report it today, you can report it later. If you can't report it now, you can report it later. Anyone who hates it can go to Yunfuzong to find Li Hizi, and I will give you a happy life. Yekong's voice was loud, echoing in the air, so refreshing. The voice spread throughout the city. Wan Xian is real. Wan Shi sighed, this Xiaoying didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse. He encountered such a person. Isn't it a troublesome upper body? The corpse Yanzong did not dare to challenge Yun Fuzong, but dare to harm you. Wan Xian shook his head and said, this person reminds me of Yekong Xiao. The two people have the same temperament, which is really enviable. I think that Wan Xian, who has lived for more than 100 years, has bent down and bowed his head. Speak. Wan Shi sighed again, but he only built the base 3 floors. When you say, when you roar, there is graciousness, gratitude, and grudges. This is a man, and it has nothing to do with Ziawei. Wanji chuckled, so you're not a man. It's really like that. Before the old man met Yekong's friend, he really couldn't be regarded as a man. Wan Xian said, suddenly pressing Wan's on a redwood chair. Come, let you feel if I'm a man. Jingquan the ancestor said that there must be a war at night, we have to hurry. The white beard on the old man's chin trembled. Oh, wow, go in. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 484. 484 to 1 Enemy 3. In the ancestral hall of Wanjia. Inside the matrix. It was even more midnight, but it was lively here, the lights were bright, and the ancestors of Jingquan and the disciples didn't look like they were totally unguarded. Li Wei said, Uncle, we should tell Li he's the real person earlier, isn't this a fight against the grass? Jingquan laughed, anyway, there are 3 more. The old man has NT shot in a long time. It just happened that the corpse Yinzong attacked and killed a lot. It's easy to find some insights so that I can hit you and Ying. Well, thanks to one of you I did NT know about the sword cutting strategy. This sword repair is to keep killing the sword to improve. Weak killing has no effect, and strong killing is dangerous. Old ancestors are mighty. Li Wei quickly slapped a flattery and asked again, Uncle, those reinforcements will come back and shoot. Haha, it's already been arranged. In Wanjiachan, in a small dark courtyard. An old man looked at the sky with a smile, and said to himself, hate, disobedient, and resentful people can come to me, and I will give you a happy life. This is really a good thing, it should be like a man. It seems that I have to give them happiness. After the old man finished speaking, he turned into a middle-aged man. The man said a little, Yekang Xiao, there will be a period later. Then the middle-aged man's figure became weaker and lighter, and then turned into a dark light, soared into the sky, and broke through the large array in an instant, but the large array was unaware of it. In the end, he flew out of the sky and disappeared. Yekong knew how many people were following him. At this moment, he was picking up a piece of black jimpsa on the ground. This kyujimpsa was left by Wang Tingshi, which is the magic weapon that can be turned into a black cloud. Yekong found that this turned out to be a superb magic weapon. But Wang Tingshi had already left, and Yekong didn't want to return it to her. It's not coveting her things, the key difference is that the two are enemies and enemies. It is definitely not a good thing to have such a powerful thing in your enemy's hands. At this time, it was not the time to study the Black Kampa. Yekong played a note to inform Jingquan's ancestors, and asked him to send another team to deal with the incident. Then Yekong flew to the Yingban building, but he flew in the air, but at a glance he saw a large array in the direction of Baikan, and there were 3 openings with several meters in length. Yekong Gli was startled, not good. More than one traitor. Yekong quickly took off his sword and went straight to the rift. When I came to the rift, I saw a few tens of thousands of disciples dying, and my eyes were broken. I was afraid that it would not be repaired in a few hours. How can these tens of thousands of defenses be so lax? Yekong cursed, and threw a note again, chasing away from the field. Not long after chasing, I saw 3 sword lights in front of me stop and stop. Yekong affixed a swift charm to himself, speeded up to catch up, came closer, and at first glance, it turned out to be the Kangnan Sanja. After the 3 men broke the battle, they got the benefits of the dead Yin sect, and at this moment are arguing about the uneven distribution of the loot. It turned out to be you. Actually assisting the fist, in fact, acting as an internal response, a shameless villain, to accept his life. Yekong said no more, and directly offered Fijian. Go. Jin Dun broadsword swooped in like the same golden light. The dead bone man with the skull necklace snorted, the pearl of rice grains also wants to shine. Little 3-layer base, Wants to be one enemy and 3. You're here for your life. After he finished speaking, he tore off the skull necklace with one hand and threw it out. I saw the skull necklace flying into the air, and immediately turned into 5 huge skulls. Reincarnation of life and death, turn resentment into poison. Spit, the dead bone real man pointed with his hand. The 5 skulls immediately made harsh laughter, then opened their mouths at the same time, spit out 5 red poisons, and sprayed them directly into Ecchi. This red mist is made by the resentment spirit of the dead. It is extremely poisonous. Even if the middle one does not die, the consciousness will be devoured by the resentment. The lighter will be seriously injured and the worst will be the walking dead. Small skull wants to hurt me too. Ecchi didn't panic, and took out 100 souls for a show. I saw a blue-white light cluster falling from the urn, and the blue-white light cluster grew up against the wind. Suddenly, a fierce wolf king appeared, and a circle of hair on his neck became more pure white. It seems that after eating a lot of souls, their strength has increased. The skull and the venom that spewed out are also made by the ghost. For the super soul that grows from other souls, Howling Wolf King Special Secondary School, they are food and have inherent fear. When I saw Xiaofeng Wolf King, the 5 skulls immediately screamed and wanted to escape, but before they could escape, Xiaofeng Wolf King had drilled out of the red mist and pounced on it, biting a skull and chewing. The other skulls were panicked. They didn't think of uniting against the enemy, but fleeing each other. Unfortunately, the 5 skulls were all strung together by a chain, and they couldn't escape at all. The only thing waiting for them was the mouth of the Howling Wolf King. Like this necklace, their masters are not thinking of fighting together. The 2 men standing behind the real boneless man looked at each other and immediately understood what they thought. There is no skill in killing each other. They kill each other, but they cooperate with each other. I saw the Kaiyuan real person shaking the fan with a finger, and a ray of dark sword light shot from the fan. The sword light seemed feminine, but its strength was extraordinary, and it broke the dead body's body with a smash. Spiritual hood. The dead bone real man was just taken aback by Ecchi's Wolf King, but he didn't expect his brother to attack himself behind his back. Busily turned back and asked, "What are you doing?" Qiu Wenzheng smiled, "Just a dead corpse, how do we 3 divide?" The boneless real man angered, "Fool! Kill me, you 2 are still difficult to separate." Duo's real man had a big bald head behind him, and then rushed forward at a speed that couldn't cover his ears. He pulled off the dead bones storage bag and laughed, "He took the corpse's beads, I took the storage bag. Is it good to divide? Stupid." When his voice didn't fall, he lifted 1 foot and scooped the dead bone without the spiritual cover in the direction of Ecchi. Ecchi is naturally unkind to the tumbling real person. I saw a gorgeous golden light breaking through the shroud of red mist, banging the ground, and piercing the body of the dead bone. Ecchi also followed the siege of Hongguo, and saw that Kaiyuan and Duo had fled in each of the 2 directions. At present, the enemy does not think of fighting together, but secretly kills his brothers and framed his brothers. "You are all idiots, big idiots," Ecchi Liang sighed, pointing at the real Duo man on the left, "Xiaofeng Wolf King, chase." Later, he drove a flying sword and followed Qiu Wen. Duo lived slowly, and soon heard the howling of the Howling Wolf King behind him. It seems that this guy can't change his habit of calling out before fighting. Ecchi is very relieved about the Howling Wolf King. Before it evolved, it would not be a problem to kill a foundation monk, let alone now. However, Ecchi was in trouble here. Kaiyuan's real flying weapon was so fast that he could not catch up with his golden shield and wide sword. He had caught up to 100 miles farther away. The Kaiyuan real man flying in front of him is secretly lucky. Fortunately, the fan implement in his hand is awesome, otherwise it is really difficult to escape from this. It is unexpected that the little real person on the 3rd floor of the small building base is even comparable to the building base beast pet. He obtained this fan instrument by chance, and its 11 umbrella bones have different magical effects. One of them can be used as a flying instrument, and the speed is still super fast. Hey, chase me. You can't catch up, I don't even need a mochi. Ha 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 ha. To the reader. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 485. 4 or 5, I will chop you. The area of Kangnan is unknown for hundreds of millions of miles. Although there are tens of billions of mortals, they are still not as crowded as the Earth, and the uncultivated desert forests are not as many. The night sky is ancient and quiet, and there is a dark forest, and no one knows how many years passed. Suddenly in the sky, a dim streamer passed, the speed reached the limit, and even the figure on the streamer could not see clearly. Then a bright golden light passed through the forest, so bright and dazzling in the night sky. This is Qiu Wenzheng and Yekong. The two swords flew hundreds of miles at once. Although Qiu Wenren's real fan bone weapon is very fast, this fan bone consumes first-rate spiritual power. Supporting super speed flying is too mentally powerful. Qiu Wen real person has to hurry up and down, and Yekong keeps up. Did not chase it? Flying hundreds of miles, Qiu Wen was really depressed. Damn, you're chasing more and more. Laozi's late foundation building, and this powerful fan tool, are you still afraid of you in the early stage of foundation building? With this in mind, Qiu Wenzheng stopped the fan bone weapon, hung high above the forest, and turned lightly. Why do Taoists be too aggressive? You know, it is dangerous to be so aggressive without strength. Yekong, who followed, stopped Fei Jian and laughed. Is that so? A capable monk, dare to ask you, if you have such strength, why run away so far? Qiu Wenzheng shouted, stupid. You can't see this, I'm worried about your beast pet, which is comparable to Jiaodan. Now that you are separated from that big dog, hey, then I'm sorry, kill you, the big dog is mine. It turns out that you are afraid of dogs and people, and you don't know what kind of animal you are, Yekong sarcastically said. Haha, the kung fu of the mouth is good, but, now, what I want is the kung fu under my hand. Qiu Wenzhen real shocked the fan implement in his hand. Then as you wish. Yekong raised his hand and took out a bell. When the brass bell came out of the storage bag, it immediately became larger. When it grew to a slap, it stopped and hovered quietly in front of Yekong. I'm a Dementor bell. If you don't stop, I can't attack you, and now, you can't escape if you want to escape. Yekong's voice didn't fall, his forefinger ticked, and then popped. Clang, the crisp and melodious ringing sounded, and you can see that layers of concentric circles rippled in the air. Dementing the soul to capture the soul, capturing the soul to capture its soul. Wherever the sound waves reach, the mortal is immaculate, while the monk's soul is taken by shock. It's a great sound tapping device, Qiu Wenzhen dare not neglect, and hurriedly lifted the folding fan in his hand, quickly uttering an obscure formula in his mouth, and then the folding fan burst into a bang. 10th fan bone, be quiet, with Qiu Wen's real password. When I saw a folding fan lightly, the sound wave in front of him disappeared without a trace. Haha, Qiu Wenzheng laughed, although your dementing bell is so powerful, this fan in my hand is not extraordinary. This fan is called a wild mountain fan, although it is not an ancient treasure, it is inheriting 100,000 years of superb magical instruments. I do not know which supernatural master made it, but 11 of them have different magical effects. Yekong laughed, thank you for the gift you prepared for me. Big words, Qiu Wen snorted, gritted his teeth and said, for this ancient weapon, many people died. Then you die too. Yekong patted another spirit beast bag, and saw a cloud of gold pouring out. He looked carefully at the dense gold-winged ants, and the back of the person looked numb. Golden-winged ants, I can't think that Qiu Wenzheng is also an amazing master. He can see this ancient worm at a glance. When he saw the golden-winged ant, the look of panic in his eyes only flashed and was replaced by greed. Since he knew it was a gold-winged ant, he didn't want to grab it. It seems that you have a lot of good things, but thanks to this wild mountain fan in my hand, hey, golden-winged ants, how can you help me? Then I heard Qiu Wen live drinking, fifth fan bone, fire. I saw a ray of flame spurting from the folding fan, and the flame grew as soon as the wind appeared, and a fiery red pillar of fire was formed in a moment. I don't know what the fire was, but the gold-winged ant was so afraid of it that he shook his wings in the distance and didn't dare to approach. Yekong was hot. The ancient monk's handicraft is really powerful. Well, then I'll show you Gubao. When Qiu Wenzhen saw the little golden medicine puppet, the greedy look in his eyes rose to the extreme, but instantly, what did he think of? You are not a Li Heze. You are. Since you guessed it, die. Yekong sneered, suddenly waved Jing Guangzhen. A domineering, arrogant golden half-moon volley was cut off. At this moment, the moon bud cut was like the same round of dazzling jinyang, and there were countless dazzling flashes on the surface, and the momentum was amazing. A wild mountain and river fan. Defend, that Kaiyuan real person did not dare to neglect, and suddenly pointed at the mountain and river fan, and saw that the fan grew up several times, blocking him in front of him like a beautiful landscape painting screen. Boom, Uia slashed on the fan surface, sending out amazing momentum, dazzling golden air waves, and the trees on the ground twirled like a hurricane. Yekong hangs in the air, Ren Qilang blows his shirt vigorously, but his figure remains motionless. What surprised Yekong, however, was that the wild mountain fan was just cut out of a huge arc of a depression, and when the golden light dissipated, it recovered again. I can't imagine that Jing Guangxiu, who can't be persevered, can't break this fan. Good stuff. Definitely a good thing. This fan must be available. The wild mountain fan once again showed great power, and Qiu Wen, who was hiding behind him, laughed wildly. Jing Guangxiu, a well-known ancient treasure, haha, the power is just that, it's almost tickling. Yekongdao said, is that right? Then come again. If there is no power at all, I will cut it down. If there is no power at all, I will cut it down. If there is no power at all, I will cut it down. I will surely cut you under. For the first time, Qiu Wenzheng, who was hiding behind a fan, had remorse for the first time. I did not expect to meet this person. This is endless. The toughness is too strong. It is not good to fight against such a crazy person. Hey, I confess, Qiu Wen shouted. But at this time, what's the use of admitting? Now that he knows who he is, he can only die. Yekong sent out countless shots of moon buds, and blasted on the fan surface one after another. I saw that each time the fan surface was split, the curvature of the depression became larger and larger. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 486. 4 or 6 will never be threatened. Finally, when Uia was cut to the 25th, the barren mountain fan finally collapsed. With a bang, the fan bones shattered at the same time, and each of the 11 fan bones had an effect. At this moment, they could not hold it anymore and they were broken into powder. The fan face with a huge landscape painting was also chopped by a moon bud. You ruined my fan, Qiu Wen was stunned. This wild mountain river fan has many functions and infinite power. No one wants it, and no one is willing to destroy it. Today, I really met a lunatic. It's a pity a good fan. Yekong looked back at Kaiyuan real person. Okay, now it's your turn. I don't know how much your spiritual shield can resist. I can't fight it all. Kaiyuan actually laughed suddenly and raised his hand to take out a small white bright round bead from the storage bag. He held the bead and laughed, but I have this. What the hell? The dead beads, Yekong guessed. Kaiyuan laughed, yes, it's the corpse's orb. When a zombie has practiced for hundreds of years, it will slowly produce a corpse's orb, also called corpse Dan. For a real person who has no hope for Dan, this corpse is corpse, but it is very useful. Through the secret method, refining the corpse yin beads, and then injecting their own spiritual power into the beads, it is as if they have given themselves a Dan, which can be ascended, cultivated, and can also use magic. Dan's ancestors are different in that they can't bear babies in this life. For many real people in Zuji, Dan is their ultimate dream. It seems that this corpse is also a good thing. It turned out to be such a good thing. No wonder you have to take risks to help the dead yin section, no wonder you can't wait to kill the dead bones. This is the bead. This is a chance to get Dandan. Yekong nodded and asked, then what do you take out of this? Give it to me. Use this to buy your life? Sorry, I don't need this stuff, and you're dead, it's useless to take out anything. Qiu Wenzhen smiled, I'm not that stupid, even if I give you the corpse Yinzu, you won't let me go, but I haven't finished the words just now, that was the first function of the corpse Yinzu. This dead corpse has a second role. Have you heard of a corpse explosion? Human corpses have various attributes. The corpse yin sect has a way to make the corpse violently explode. This explosion has a very powerful force and a very wide range. Corpse, the force of the explosion is 100 times more than other corpses. Now you know what role this corpse beads have? Qiu Wen was holding a corpse's yin bead with a proud look. Come, you kill me. I break this bead when you start, everyone will die together. How? If you let me go, we haven't seen each other. Even if you destroy my fan, I won't reveal your identity. How good is it, isn't it? Qiu Wenzhong continued, but he saw someone take out another big turtle shell. Qiu Wen was really anxious, and shouted with a sullen expression, otherwise, just take 2 shots and end up all together. Yekong looked at him coldly and said, I have nothing to do with Yekong in my life. Qiu Wen's heart was furious, and his ferocious character was immediately revealed. He shouted, I haven't seen you so insufferable. If you kill me, you will die together. The real Kai Wen under victory was desperate to crush the corpse in his hand. Dead. As soon as Yekong was in shape, he wanted to hide in the turtle shell, but he shook it, and finally stopped. Dead. Death. Kai Wen, who was screaming like a madman, also found something wrong and dumbfounded. No explosion, no corpse, no fire, nothing. Kai Wen's real man opened his palm and saw the crushed white beads become some powder, flowing away from his fingers. Damn, the dead yin sect. Your ancestor, this bead is a fake, Qiu Wen real man was screaming like crazy. I said that the dead yin zone is not so good. You can get a chance to get a dandan just because of what you do? Well, now, let's meet. Yekong mercilessly waved Jing Guangzi again. After killing Kai Wen, Yekong unbuttoned his storage bag and collected his soul with 100 souls. These 3 Kangnan 3 masters are all serious repairs of 800, and there is no gain. There are hundreds of spirit stones in Kai Wen's real person's storage bag, and other things are not good. But there is a good thing, Yekong never let go. That is the fan face of a wild and wild mountain fan. The fan was split like that by Jing Guanjiao. There was no fan bone left, but the thin fan face was not harmed. Isn't this good? Yekong found the fan face. The fanless face has returned to its normal size. Yekong supported it. I saw that the fan face delicately depicts many mountains and rivers Chongshan Junling. At the top of the screen, there are several vigorous lowercase letters that read Wild Barren Mountains and Rivers Map. Those monks are convinced that the fan bones of this fan have many functions, but who knows, it is just a way to block the eyes. The real treasure is a fan surface with no function. Yekong couldn't help feeling, if he didn't break the fan like crazy today, I'm afraid he just got this fan, and I don't know its real magic. The night sky was a little bit quiet and very quiet, but there was a rumbling sound of bombardment in the direction of Xianxia city in the distance. The sound of 100 miles shows the fierce battle. The battle between Jidan was not something he could plug in, and Yekong didn't rush to the past, driving a flying sword, while walking back, exploring the secrets of this wild barren landscape. This picture is made of magical materials and uses a fan as a camouflage. The secret is definitely extraordinary. Yekong first probed in with divine knowledge and urged with spiritual power, but unfortunately returned without success. The general magic weapon, even if Yekong can't urge, is also reactive, such as resisting, such as feeling a ban. But none of these. The wild mountain map is not a magic weapon, nor a magic weapon, it is a drawing. Since it is a drawing, it shows that the secret lies in the content of the drawing. Yekong went to analyze the landscape drawn on the map carefully, and soon Yekong discovered it. This wild mountain and river map turned out to be a treasure map. Because Yekong saw clearly, some valleys were painted with a raised grave, some creeks were spotted with a mountain gate, and there were small archways on the mountains covered by white clouds. This may be a treasure map. Still a treasure map of many treasures. Yekong was so bewildered by this discovery, he looked around with some guilty conscience, and quickly put the drawing into the storage bag. If this kind of thing is spread, I am afraid that the ancestor of Yuanying also lived shortly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 487. 487 Siege Wars. Putting it in the storage bag, he was still uneasy, took it out again, and put it in the storage ring hanging on his chest. Although the space in the storage ring was huge, it was a problem when it was brought out, so he was useless and kept hanging on his chest. Inside the storage ring were the things he thought were the most secret, and now there are 3 of them. One is the original Zikang token inside, the other is Huang Pai's ancestors' pipa beads, and Huang Quan's ancestors can't see anything, so he just collected it, and the last thing is the wild mountain map. Although Yekong didn't figure out what these 3 things were, he knew that they were all treasures in the treasures, and any of them could cause the War of Immortals. When I came to the breakup, the Xiaofeng Wolf King was awake, and I didn't know where a few female wolves were coming. The Xiaofeng Wolf King was making a close relationship with the female wolves to add affection. Yekong certainly wouldn't allow this kid to perform restricted content. He raised his hand and collected the Xiaofeng Wolf King into the 100 souls, making those she-wolves barking at someone. Call Mao, let the Wolf King kill you first and kill you. Yekong shamelessly intimidated, and took the soul of the real Duo, took off the 2 storage bags, and then accelerated to fly to Wanjiachan. When he came to Wanjiachan, the spectacular scene and fierce fighting were beyond his expectation. I saw monks flying in the sky, monks standing on the ground, fighting everywhere, banging everywhere, and various colored instruments flying in the sky and impacting. Never mind, even if Wanjia killed the elder Jidan of Jidan, wouldn't it be of such a large scale? Yekong always thought that this time he came to attack Wanjia city for fear of another purpose. Yekong looked at the battle in the sky and found that they are all real people who are building bases. They are all playing on the ground. They are all gas refining monks. Yekong has not blended and killed 2 corpses with short eyes. Monk Ecchi flew into the city. As soon as he entered the city, he saw that the ancestor of Jingquan was standing vigorously on the head of the city to direct the battle. There were also several ancestors of Jidan standing beside him. I've seen the ancestors of Jingquan. Yekong went up with a fist. Those 3 troublesome real humans killed? It's fast. Jingquan ancestor laughed. The 2 are dead, and the leader is running away. Yekong didn't want to be too eye-catching, and sloppy. In this way, the 5 old ancestors of the left and right still turned their eyes. The 5 old ancestors of the old Jidan had 3 Jinding marks on their chests and 2 of the Qingming imprints, But Yekong did not know them. Unexpectedly, Wanjia, Linjiao Mountain, and Qingming all have connections. Yehalo thought. Jingquan said again, those three guys, however, are all in the late period of building the foundation. They just want to do things under my eyelids. It's really not long-sighted. You nephew, you hard. Jingquan's words also gave Yekong a long face to let everyone know his extraordinary. Sure enough, those old ancestors were somewhat surprised. A beautiful woman in Linjiashan laughed, Jingquan, congratulations on your good luck in your family. Only after building the third floor can you kill one enemy and kill two and run away one. There are such disciples, why worry about it? Jingquan's ancestor naturally shook his beard and laughed. He has never been able to recruit good disciples, and has always been sneered at, and now he has an old face. Of course, Yekong wouldn't say that he was Yun Fuzong, but wouldn't he face Jingquan's old face in person? So he perfunctorily said, the key is that I find them, and they are trying to coax inequality, otherwise I may not be able to fight them. Those monks who nodded their heads then nodded. It is not impossible to kill three in the early stage of foundation building, it is very difficult, unless you have something good. Jingquan's ancestor nodded. Then you take a break and watch the battle in the city. Yes, Yekong pretended to be a disciple and stood behind Jingquan's ancestors. But standing behind the 6 ancestors of Yedan, Yekong's heart bounced again, and an inexplicable excitement became more and more intense. They didn't have any defenses, kill them. Didn't the Elixir Mountain and Qingming both reward and kill you? Give him a back, a voice in his heart tempted. Yekong looked at the backs of several people, and finally pressed down the idea. He closed his eyes, the idea was so crazy, these are the 5 ancestors. Not that Wang Tingshi was so secretive before. These guys are all weirds who have lived for more than 100 years. Don't look at them, they haven't opened their shields. Who knows if they have any other means? Did the old ancestors kill so much? Even if one is killed, the others will break themselves into powder. When he closed his eyes, Yekong heard an old Jadan ancestor saying to Jingquan, Brother Jingquan, your disciple is so murderous, it's better to let him continue to kill for a while. Is NT your sword repair focused on do you kill go? Yekong Gli was shocked. Fortunately, he was not impulsive just now. Forget it, it's all irrelevant people, there is no actual hatred, ignore them first. The corner of Yekong's eyes just saw a familiar figure upstairs in the far corner of the city wall. Yekong said, I'll go over there. A group of monks at the base of the tower stand near the gap in the battlefield. This is where the battle is most intense. Wan Xian is also fighting here as a disciple. Yekong Fei flew over, looking out of the field, and saw that all the zombies were overwhelming, not only human zombies, but also animal zombies, all of them were black with red eyes, very terrifying. Although these zombies are all stone zombies, they are much more powerful than Yekong killed in the mine. Today's zombies all bless defensive sand spells. There are flying stars around them, and they don't know if the spell is a fly. Not only that, zombies will be everywhere and they will stay on the ground. The next green blot, even if the zombie is killed, there will be green liquid splashing around. That's poisonous plague. A monk who accidentally sticks on it will be unconscious, killing people indiscriminately, regardless of friends and enemies. Yekong asked, why is the corpse Yinzong so large today? I'm afraid there are tens of thousands of zombies. When did this kill? Wan Xian sighed, our Wanjia did not expect that the corpse insect attacked so fiercely this time. I heard that there were only 16 ancestors of Jadan. Yekong was startled, 16. Isn't it, the dead yin sect is dispatched, do they have revenge against Wanjia for killing mothers and daughters? What kills mothers and daughters? Our Wanjia family always keeps a low profile, how could we do this kind of thing? Wan Xian took a sip and said, According to our concentrated analysis of our grandfather Jingquan and the elders of the mountain medicine King Minggu, we think that things are is such that. I heard that this corpse yin sect is going to make 10,000 zombie arrays. In the array, hundreds of thousands of zombies are needed, so the corpse yin sect expels the doormen and kills the corpses. More than a month ago, someone got the news and revealed the conspiracy of the dead yin section. Therefore, the major practitioners sent their disciples to chase and block, intending to kill the dead yin sect and zombies halfway, especially the Hongduan mountains, where they were. There must be a way for Huitsong to go, so there are 3 layers of defense lined up by the major repair camps. So a large number of corpse Yinzong disciples gathered with tens of thousands of zombies on the ground near Wanjia, and this is the battle today. Oh, I heard that the news is still your Yunfuzong disciple. To the reader. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 488. Be careful about corpse explosion. Yekong smiled bitterly. Isn't this disciple who inquired about the stubbornness? Okay, now I get myself. But they are attacking, and they should also hit those 3 lines of defense. Why are they fighting Wanjia city? Yekong asked again. Wan Xian couldn't explain this. He shook his head and said, I don't know. Bachan Yinzong wants to engage in any conspiracy and tricks, and wants to hold the 3 defense lines with Wanjia city. Yekong shook his head, obviously not so simple. The dead yin sect must have other purposes. Maybe there is a tunnel passing through the mountain range below Wanjiachan. While they were talking, there was a loud noise on the battlefield. I saw several zombies with blue-gray bodies and fangs protruding from their mouths. These are iron and copper, but how can they fly? Yekong asked in surprise. These are flying stiff. Wan Xian heard the name, but did not know why flying stiff. Yekong sighed, this corpse Yinzong has a specialization in surgery. It is not easy to play a corpse with so many tricks. Because of these stiff arrivals on the battlefield, the situation changed. Originally, the monks from Wanjia and the 2 monks of the alliance flew in the air while flying with magical instruments, and those stone stiffs would not fly, but only stood on the ground and were passively beaten. So the situation is one-sided. I don't know how many dead bodies are piled on the ground. But as soon as the sclerosis came, the situation was different. Those stumped bodies were hard, and ordinary instruments could not be broken. The stagnations relied on the thick skin and ran into chaos among the monks. Immediately, several monks fell, and several were poisoned by poison, and were by fellow monks and sent back to the city for treatment. Seeing that the zombies were so powerful, those monks did not dare to continue to float in the air. Nearly 1,000 monks from the 3 factions lowered their magical instruments, and stood close to the ground. Looking at the monks standing in the zombies everywhere, Yekong suddenly felt wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Where is Lu Ying guarding his eyes? Yekong asked suddenly. She didn't keep her eyes open, and now she was in front of a large array to help repair the 3 damaged eyes. If it is repaired, the city will be safe. How to let her go to such a dangerous place? Yekong waited for him to finish, and drove away with the magic weapon. Those 3 fronts were not far away, and 2 were next to each other, which were destroyed by Kangnan Sanja. This is the gap in the large array, and it is also the main offensive part of the Corpse Yin zone, so the battle here is the most intense. Fortunately, Lu Ying didn't need to fight, she was helping a foundational sister to repair the front line. In her body, there were more than 100 monks from the 3 factions. In front of them was a pile of stone zombies, which showed that the battle was fierce here. Yekong felt that the fighting was fierce, but the party did not think that. When she saw Yekong coming, the little girl Xiaoshan smiled and said, I heard that you were the first female disciple to find the enemy, and you are a terrific female disciple. The busy sister also laughed, I heard that the woman is pretty, how can Li Dai be willing to start? Yekong saw them relaxed and relaxed. Of course he wouldn't say that Wang Ting had been released, but just laughed, If there is anything you can't do, these demons are crooked and look so beautiful and useless. Besides, how can Xiaoying and this big sister be beautiful? His compliments made both women laugh. The male monks around him were dissatisfied. In order to attract women's attention, they said aloud, "It's so cool to kill today. We killed hundreds of zombies, and we lost nothing." The other yelled, "I killed 30 in one go. I'm 48. I'm 53. The monks said, looking at Yekong provocatively, there was something in his eyes, "Man, how many did you kill? Don't just tease women." Listening to them, Yekong's heart hung up again. Unusual. Absolutely abnormal. Although Shizong is worthless, there is no need for the dead yin sect to give away so much for you to kill. Seeing Yekong ignore them, he was just dazed at the zombies piled into the mountains, and the monks in Qingming laughed arrogantly. At the same time, the battlefield is changing rapidly. I saw those monks standing on the ground attacking with success, and the group flew back and forth. Chong! Kill them! Let them die completely this time, a monk roared loudly. Kill! The red-eyed monks rushed out, stepping on the bodies of the ground and chasing after them. And at this moment, Yekong's mind suddenly flashed a picture. Qiu Wenzhen real person grabbed a bright white bead and said, "Have you heard of a corpse explosion? Human corpses have elements of various attributes. The corpse yin sect has a way to make the corpse violently explode. The explosion force is very strong and the scope is very wide. Be careful." Corpse explosion. Yekong yelled, grabbed Lu Ying's small waist, and at the same time leaped in the shadow of Wu Ying's posture, like a blue dragon, straight into the sky. When he jumped up, he threw the golden shield broadsword in the other hand, and couldn't wait to urge the broadsword. During the rotation, his toes were a little more on the sword body, and his posture was raised 3 feet taller. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The monks were stunned by Yekong's sudden movements, and then returned to God before thinking of Yekong's words. "Come on." The corpse explodes, then the monks threw out flying swords in a panic. But it's too late. Many times, is it raw? Still dead? It's just an instant. Boom, all the zombie corpses on the battlefield exploded almost at the same time. Not only the corpses, but also those with broken limbs and broken arms, exploded like grenades. This is a cruel but magnificent picture, and I saw the green venom splashing when the corpse exploded, just like a blossoming dazzling flower. And the bodies of the monks who were blasted to the ground with flesh and blood were like a big red sprinkle on the canvas. Those monks did not survive very much. They did not take precautions at all, and some even neglected their enemies without turning on their spiritual shields. Thousands of monks survived, there were only more than 20, most of the others were dead, and those who were not dead were lying in the green venom and making heartbreaking shouts. The little girl Xiu Luiying had already burst into tears, and she felt a light body at that time. Her face was down, and she felt that she was spinning higher and higher. She clearly saw that the sister who had just talked and laughed with her just now was blown into blood mist, and her last-minute look was so scared, she didn't want to die. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 489. The battle started in 1989. "Sister," Lu Ying screamed sternly, and wanted to pounce. But he was hugged by Yekong. "Sorrow and grief, change. Your sister has been blown up. There are poisonous plagues everywhere. You must be infected when you go down." "Sister," Lu Ying whispered again, then tears began to rain. But in an instant, she yelled at Yekong again, "Why didn't you bring up the sister just now? You obviously have 2 hands. You can." Yekong shook his head, "No, although I have 2 hands, I have to take a flying sword with the other hand. If I grab someone with both hands, I cannot guarantee that I will not be exploded." Lu Ying was silent but only looked down and wept. Yekong comforted, "War is such cruel. If you are sad, Don't forget to take revenge. You can't retaliate today, he daily reports it. Hatred cannot be forgotten. As he was talking, 5 Jadan ancestors were raised in the direction of the dead corpse opposite the corpse, and the 5 stood in the air with 5 elements. Hunting in the wind, the 5 laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha, Wanjia, Linjiao Mountain, and Qingming Valley, how do you educate your disciples? It's as stupid as a pig. It killed thousands of people at once, and I think you can fight again. Hugh is crazy. Angered Jingquan ancestors flew out with several other ancestors of Jadan and shouted, Zhong Kun, did you remember the Ridge contest at that time? Do you remember? Dare to fight? It seems that Jingquan and the ancestor of the corpse Yinzong still knew and had old grudges. Zhong Kun laughed and laughed. Everyone still built the base period, but it was a test. You can remember such a broken thing for hundreds of years. Do you know what happened in these hundreds of years? Do you think I am still Zhong Kun? Zhong Kun that day? Then I'll see what you've learned in these hundreds of years. Jingquan's ancestor snarled and raised his hand. Huang Tianwei, turn your body into a sword. The power of sword repair turned out to be so bright that I saw an overwhelming sword light that instantly lit up the entire sky, as if a round of the sun suddenly bloomed brightly and brightly. Old ancestor Jianwei, will cut off evildoers, encouraged. All the living monks in Wanjia city were uplifted. I only heard that Zhong Kun snorted coldly and cursed, after hundreds of years, you are still using brute force, stupid. Let my silver corpse come to stop you. I saw a huge black air mass appearing in front of the 5 ancestors of Jadan. The air mass continued to expand and finally grew to a height of several feet. Around the air mass, dark mist filled and rolling black clouds. From time to time, sharp hissing came out, shocking. Just then, Jingquan's ancestor's sword was chopped on the air mass. This groundbreaking sword cut the black air mass in half at once. A huge and crooked silver corpse appeared, just like the silver corpse that Yekong had seen in the mine before. This silver corpse was also full of paintings. The only difference between the various Sanskrit texts is that as many as 18 yellow paper notes were affixed to the belly of the silver corpse. Lu Ying has been shocked by the sight in front of her. She has seen silver corpse. Brother Heza, you killed this silver corpse. Didn't you kill one that day? Lu Ying shouted. Because they were relatively close to the crowd, at the exit of Lu Ying, the eyes of the ancestors of the Dandan moved immediately. Yekong smiled bitterly. That day was done by Deu. If he depended on him, he wouldn't know who to kill. Besides, the silver corpse today is obviously fiercer than the silver corpses of that day. I am afraid that even jade comes with an old nose. A silver corpse with 18 yellow notes is afraid of being a newborn baby. Ancestors may not be able to kill them. Although the silver corpse is powerful, Jingquan's ancestor's sword repair power is not so good. There were hundreds of sword lights in that sword. A burst of intensive blast like a burst of beans, a sword is another sword, a sword almost like a sword, and mercilessly chopped on the silver body. Yeah, the silver corpse screamed like a beast, arms around his head, and was beaten with a rat. The ancestor Jianwei, will cut off the evildoers, the monks in Wanjia city. At this moment, none of them could sleep, all shouted from below. Even Yekong and Lu Ying could not help but make an exhilarating cry. Several other ancestors of Dandan nodded sincerely and said, Jinkin's ancestor turned his sword into a sword with more power than before. But there was a sneer from the other side, I turned my sword into a body. But that's it? My silver corpse has also been cultivated to the peak of the Dandan period. How could it be so easy to die? Sure enough, when Jinkin's ancestor Huang more than 100 swords passed, the silver corpse was intact, but Jingquan's sword hit the fire. Roar, the giant silver corpse was like a diamond, with his arms wide open, roaring to the sky. At this time, a strange scene appeared. I saw a thin, fine gold wire straight in the dark sky, falling from the sky, and shining on the silver corpse's bare head. Subsequently, the gold wire suddenly became large, like a golden waterfall spring shining through the body of the silver corpse. Whenever the golden spring flows through, the Sanskrit characters painted on the silver corpse will light up, and the scenes are gorgeous and weird. When those Sanskrit texts emerge, everyone present will hear sounds from ancient times. Ha 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 ha. A gleeful laugh covered the sky. Xianxia laughed happily. Jingquan took care of himself. I never thought that Xianxia had not turned into a baby, but my corpse pet broke through first. Jingquan, I really want to thank you. Quick. This beast is about to break into a golden corpse, and he can't be allowed to succeed. Everyone goes up. Jingquan's ancestors roared, and rushed up like crazy. The sword in his hand sent Dadao Jianguang to the breakthrough. The golden corpse was cut off. Come on, the other ancestors of Jadan also roared and sacrificed their magic weapons, and there was a stream of light flying in the sky, and a group of dazzling light groups followed. Many of the monks of the dead Yin sect were not vegetarian, and brought their own silver corpses to meet them. A chaotic battle was fierce. Yekong noticed that a large number of monks suddenly appeared on both sides of the plain. On the left are monks in Elixir Mountains in white, and on the right are monks in Qingming Valley in blue. There are thousands of them. Yekong suddenly thought why the defense of Wanjiachen was so lax, and the daring was intentional. Selling flaws on the front attracted the dead Yin sect to attack in the middle of the night, but the side, in fact, has laid an ambush stronger men in order to surround the dead Yin sect with layers, and wipe out all the nets. Looking at the battlefield again, the battle has become fierce. Comparing with the fighting of the monks who built the base just now, this is the real battle, and this is the beginning of the real battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 490. 490 Battle Gold Corpse. Let's go to, Lu Ying asked. Go back, Yekong chuckled coldly. You have a lively little repair in the middle of gas refining, you can't participate in such a fight. Seeing Lu Ying still unwilling, Yekong pointed again and said, you also do NT idle. They are staying in the city with the real people of Wanxian to prevent sneak attacks by people with dead bodies. Well then, Lu Ying went a little unwillingly, and Lin Xing turned back and said, this time, I will work hard to practice. I must avenge my sister. After sending Lu Ying away, Yekong also flew in his flying sword. Of course, he didn't pounce on Jidan's ancestors. The battle over there was really something he couldn't get in. In the face of the Lingyao Shan and Qingming Gu, he could not use the golden light that he had snatched from the Lingyao Shan. Yekong was very easy to deal with the monks in the foundation period. Although he could not take out the Dementor Bell and Gubeo, it was okay to use Xiaofeng Wolf King in front of Lingyao Shan and Qingming Gu. In such a 1,000-man battle, the Howling Wolf King demonstrated its powerful advantages of group attack. With a spit, he uttered countless wind blades soaring into the sky and then dropped in a parabolic direction. Wind Forest Blade Mountain. This was the way Xiaofeng Wolf King dealt with Yekong at the time, but Yekong was broken to understand the rhythm. But the disciples of corpses Yinzong and the zombies they control do not know what rhythm. Looking at the huge blue and white wind blades coming out of the sky, they had nowhere to hide, and several of them were chopped into countless pieces. There were also a few monks with defensive weaponry, or more powerful zombies who resisted the past, but what followed was Yekong's decisive blow. Yekong helped the monk of Linjiao Mountain. In comparison, he felt less evil about Linjiao Mountain. Then again, Shi-san, the ancestor of King Mingwu, asked him to take care of his descendants. But the stone top is not kind, and I am not righteous. Of course, in fact, the monk who helped Linjiao Mountain had another selfishness, which was to look forward to seeing the flowery noodles with a smile. 4.5 years. Is she okay? Is she still the same? The longer the time passed, the clearer the face became. She called herself a little thief. She firmly believed in the expression of eagle baldness in Beizai Fang City. She uttered a oath in Gulingshan with tears and left. She was in Shiwen Das Han, the look of anticipation when breaking up with myself. Scene by scene, as if yesterday, just a moment ago, so clear, even a look, a detail, are so memorable. Yekong recalled the past with Lianrulan, but Fijian was killing one enemy after another. This feeling was very smooth. Tears fell in his eyes, but the figure was shuttled in the sky's wind blade. Each opponent split in half. Very cool feeling. I like this feeling. This is the life I want. What I want is not to marry a wife and have children in a mining village. What I want is to go through storms, chop waves, and chop off opponents and enemies stronger than one. What I want is to fight battles and kill them all the way. This is my life. The life of a cultivator. Just as Yekong killed him briskly, some people in the center of the sky also fought briskly. Become a sword. Let's die. Jing Quan's ancestor chopped down a low-level silver corpse that blocked the way, and finally came to the evolving silver corpse. He arrived late, and the silver corpse has become a golden corpse, but because it just broke through, its whole body is only covered with colorful irregular golden light blocks. But even so, Jing Quan's ancestors are not Jin Jin's opponents. I saw the golden corpse with a big mouth and a spit of corpse. Turn gas into whip. That corpse gas quickly condensed into a long black whip. Pop, a whip pulled firmly on Jing Quan's ancestors, pulling him directly from the sky to the ground, smashing a large hole in the ground. In the end, it was the ancestor of Ji Dan's late period. Jing Quan didn't die. He spit out blood, and flew up with the boots on his feet. What about the golden corpse? Eat me a sword. Turn your sword into a body. Jinkin's ancestors were united with swords, and a sword light appeared as if it could split the sky. The sword light looked like a dazzling star and was cut from the bottom up. Jing Quan, I am a golden corpse, and there is no cultivation practice during the UN infancy period. You do NT want to be cut, why are you suffering? Zhong Kun Sai sounded. Jing Quan's ancestors didn't answer, but just launched an attack. The sword air brought the air out of the waves, and the stacks of Jianguang were chopped on the golden corpse again. However, Jin Zhe didn't buy it, and when he shot it with a big hand, he shot all the ancestors of Jing Quan and his Jianguang upside down, splashing all the sand and dust on the ground, as if there was a layer of fog on the ground. Huang Tianwei, turning his body into a sword, Jing Quan's ancestor roared and rushed up again. Pop, without a doubt, he was hit again. This time, the enclave went further, and fell directly on a large array of flowers and clouds above Wan Jiachan. Oh, he slammed into the back with a blood mist from his mouth. The disciples in the array are busy opening up this array of formations and let Jing Quan's ancestors enter the battlefield to dodge. But I did not expect Jinkin's ancestor to yell, "Who asked you to open the formation?" Then he laughed again, rushed into the sky with a sword, and said loudly in his mouth, "Cool. I haven't tried the taste of injury for many years, come again." It's all her mother crazy, Zhong Kun cursed, and suddenly thought of something. Jing Quan, aren't you practicing swords with my golden corpse? Damn, want to borrow my golden body broke, you dream. I won't keep my hands. It's up to you. If you don't keep your hands, let me understand more. Jinkin's ancestor laughed, a sword light flying from the ground again. At the command of the host, the golden corpse snarled at Jianguang, who was coming under his feet, and then reached out to peel off a yellow paper note on his belly. The yellow paper rune reached the corpse's hand, and it immediately shattered, firing golden light from the broken place. Then, the stick-shaped object in the golden light extended up and down. Finally, the yellow paper rune turned into a blackened steel fork and appeared in the hand of the golden corpse. The steel fork is black, but the three halberds in the shape of a mountain are gleaming. In the meantime, there is a blue electric light such as a net, which makes an electric explosion sound. Under a full moon, the golden corpse holds a steel fork in his hands, standing between heaven and earth, but with majestic looks, a pair of blood-red eyes with the same momentum as the world, as if the Yasha from the upper world. Facing the golden corpse in this state, Jinkin's ancestors still chopped it up. There is no end to this hate. In the loud voice, the ninth type sword light with the body and sword in one came. The sword light was a huge arc of white light, which seemed to split everything in the world. In the wide light arc, there were countless swords, and they could clearly see that they flow like water waves in the light arc. The golden corpse remained motionless, but waved down the steel fork and slammed at the forefront of the middle of the arc of light. Boom! To the reader. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 491. 491 Sword Mount Guard. Boom! After a loud noise, it seemed as if the world was colliding, with the intersection of Jianguang and Vucha as the center, a huge and brilliant bright white air wave sweeping around. All the monks who were fighting were deterred by the waves, the aura was surging, and those monks during the refining period were shocked to spit out blood. This is already a monk-level battle. Yekong came to this world 8 or 9 years ago. This is the first time that he has seen the battle between the ancestors of Yuanying. All the monks below, regardless of the enemy or me, stopped. They stopped the battle very well, watching the air. If there is any danger, we can escape immediately. In the battle of Yuanying's ancestors, the other minor repairs had to hurry away, otherwise they would be scraped by the powerful magical powers of Yuanying's ancestors, and they could not die anymore. However, after all, Jinkin's ancestors were not Yuanying, but also a sword repair with a relatively concentrated attack. Although the golden corpse is equivalent to Yuanying, zombies are a kind of refining species, so there is no huge range of magical powers, so everyone can watch them boldly. But there is also a good soldier who knows nothing about killing the enemy, Howling Wolf King. This guy doesn't care if it's UN period above his head, it keeps spraying blue and white wind blades, which makes the corpse Yinzong refining monks cry hard. Yekong certainly didn't care about it, he looked up and watched. Just listening to Zhong Kun's voice rang again, the ninth form of body and sword unity has no end to this hate. Jingquan, this is your best move. Yes, the sword is like mountains and rivers, endless, just power. You still owe a bit. Look at my golden corpse, it's already the equivalent of Yuanying's ancestors. If you want to win in the late period of Dandan, it's a big dream and you haven't woke up. Jingquan's ancestors didn't care about him, and didn't talk, they kept attacking Jinjia, and burying his head in front of Jinjia, sending out all kinds of swords. Yekong knew that what Jinkin's ancestors did was not useless work. He searched in a frantic battle for the moment of breakthrough and comprehension. Zhong Kun also knows Jingquan's purpose clearly, but he doesn't want his zombie to become a free sparring for others. Unlucky. Jingquan, since you begged to die, you can't blame me. Gaga, my baby's body, kill me soon. Haha, Jingquan, if your Jin Dan can escape, don't forget look for our corpse Yinzong to find the furnace tripod. Our corpse Yinzong's body is the first in Kangnan. You have all the spiritual roots. Zhong Kun laughed wildly. Let you taste the corpse electricity. The golden corpse heard the master's order and immediately held up the black fork. It can be seen that the whole black fork has a light blue and light blue power grid wave, and the electric waves flow violently on the black fork handle. It held the black fork high, motionless, and Ren Jinkin's ancestors' endless Jianguang smashed on it. It's accumulating power. Finally, there was a loud noise, and a thick electric light from a bucket was splitting at Jingquan's ancestors. Jingquan's ancestors were not afraid of danger, and they met Dianguang. The long sword in their hands had already become several feet long. Introduce thunder with a sword, Jinkin's ancestor's sword pointed at the tip of a lightning bolt, and then quickly split it, so that all the electric light that had to be killed was introduced into the ground. No matter how strong the electric light is, it will be absorbed by the earth. Although the earth will not attack, its bearing capacity is amazing. A huge electric pole formed by heaven and earth. And the ancestor of Jinquan finally found what he was looking for. That's it? Ha 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 ha, this is the power of the earth. Jinquan's ancestor laughed wildly, and one was unconscious, was drawn by the pole of the golden corpse black fork, and was hit again to the ground. This time was Jinquan's worst injury. His whole body was ragged and his facial features were bleeding. Most importantly, the spiritual shield was broken. At this moment, I am afraid that even a gas monk can kill him, but strangely, he did not rush to leave the battlefield to rest. Instead, he sat cross-legged in the pit that he had smashed by himself, meditating, and no one was there. He wasn't mad, but that perception, fleeting. He waited for hundreds of years and finally got a little insight. How could he let it slip away? He must quickly get through and let that insight become a huge motivation for him to break through. Of course, he won't be stupid enough to have no defense. After I saw him sitting cross-legged, his long sword began to split, like a bacterial reproduction, 1, 2, 2, 4, 8. The more and more flying swords, gradually formed a protective layer with a wide upper and lower tip. From a distance, it looked like a large silver-white cone-shaped ore. Countless flying swords are condensed together, and Jinkin's ancestors are wrapped in it. This defense is amazing. Yekong didn't know, but someone knew it and heard someone say, "This is Jianzhuo's body." Jianzhuo's unique defensive enchantment is stronger than the ordinary small defensive formation. Jianzhuo's body? Can't stop the attack of my corpse Yanzong, Zhongkan sighed, don't let him succeed. Come together. Give me the old sword stick Jingquan. The corpse Yanzong all moved up and down regardless of the ancestors of Jidan or the small gas refinery, all rushed with the magic weapon. And those zombies, stone zombies, flying zombies, gold, silver, copper, and iron corpses, all killed them in the past. At the same time, the camp rushed up. Of all the monks here, only Jingquan can kill the golden corpse after breaking through. If Jingquan dies, don't fight this battle. You have to keep Jingquan's ancestors. This is another battle. It is more fierce than just now. Within a range of more than 100 meters, I don't know how many monks died here. Every inch of land is covered with blood. In the sky, on the ground, countless battles took place at this instant, and countless battles ended at this instant. However, the relatively large casualties were Wanjia and Lingyao Shan Qingminggu. Although their number was large, but no one could carry the attack of the golden corpse, the guy was like a tank rushing into a crowd of people, killing the quartet. At this meeting, the 3,000 monks ambushing in Linjiao Mountain and Qingming Valley had nearly 1,000 dead and wounded. And the 5 knots that arrived first plus the 4 knots that ambush, a total of 9 knots, 3 hung soon. But Monk Jidan had a benefit. He could escape, and he saw 3 gold dandelions turned into a ray of light and fled to the north, 1 in the direction of Qingming and 2 in the direction of Lingyao Shan. Go back to win a house, practice for 100 years, and you can resume cultivation. The Jindan escaped, and the monk Yanzong did not even chase. Yekong noticed that Zhongkan and other 5 ancestors of Jidan always kept that posture angle, as if it were a knot, and other corpse Yin disciples also did not leave Zhongkan more than 300 meters range. Is there any conspiracy? Yekong could not help but be vigilant. But Yekong was too late to think about it. Jinkin's ancestors were in danger. The death of the 3 soldiers of the Dan soldiers frightened the coalition forces, and their resistance was weakened.